There had always been horses on the island. Calm, dappled horses that stood in perfect stillness for half hours or hours on the sand at the sea's edge, waiting for the subtle and delicate waywardness of the shifting breeze, their bellies reflected in the still wet sand. Horses that waited in the shape of the distant islands, or on the short headlands of schist cropping the grasses from among the moss. Horses that in winter walked the solid ice of the shattered land, crossing from lake to lake and crest to crest, across a land that was solidified time. And in the spring and early summers pulled out every furrow there was room for, and that later carried the rise to the moor-edged moors. Horses that came down from the mountains, small and wiry and discerning. Horses that were quite uncompromised, but that would become a little fastidious if left in the easy meadows for too long. Blue horses whose blood must almost be milk. Blue horses with translucent bellies lit inside by the sun. And mares with blue-white fetuses floating upside down inside them. The horses of chance that in winter walked along the snow ruts and thought about pain. Even human pain. And in autumn stood on rock crests to watch brown days sink away. The horses of chance that stood against great gales and the peltings of hail when the roofs of the houses and barns would be torn off. And that in snowfalls would stand under gable ends or in hollows on the lee sides where even so wraiths of snow would curl and dune their way against their stubborn legs. And then the horses of chance, the blue horses, change and become red. Red, translucent bellies x-rayed in the sun. Red in the sunlight, translucent red-edged fetuses swimming in dark streams. And then those terrible mornings, those dawns when it seemed that the bellies of the horses had been ripped open and the waters of life gushed over the earth's surface. The horses with their nozzles agape and their gentle bloodshot eyes, whatever the season of the year, the gentle eyes of the horses that can no longer see. Epiphany under a tree. As I lay on my back, the circle of trees formed a membrane above me. The light poured through the membrane, like egg yolk breaking from its broken sac, but none of the yellow sun touched us, it simply gave us light. I saw you there. Your body was singing. Your body was a stem swaying where you were. Even though I broke the stem, you remained intact. Even though the stem was broke, it gave us light. The stem of the tree moved to its finite twigs. The light burst over the face of the earth and over my face. The trunk remained strong but burst to its limits. The membrane was stretched, the sky's membrane, and light came through where the yellow sun touched me. It gave me light. Beneath the membrane of trees, where the stem was singing in the layers of sunlight, the earth broke clear of its moorings and of me, and I grasped the chemical invasion of the stems of impoverished speech. Simply for the breath of staying alive, I should talk to you. Simply to pass some words across a table as bread or oil. will not have them die in me, or die in you. And as I measure by measure slowly toss the crisp herbs of speech over towards your face, a very little light will come into my eyes. A very little light will glow out at you and enter your eyes and will be returned to me and will calm our mouths against duplicity. And when all the bitter fratricides are piled up about us, this little light, this tiny flame out on the waste patch, this wind-shaped tent that is your eye with its slow torch, this flickered heart with its ventricles that beat and pump, will provoke in us a bonfire and the will to live. And even from the embers there will glow a little light, a very little shining light, as we pass some words across the table, simply for the breath is staying alive. And then to end, one poem from a sequence called The Month of Sundays, unruly prose poems. When the great scholar of red sunlight left the city of Cordoba in the year 1201, new worlds opened up such as no one imagined. And when the poet of divine filth danced out onto the amber sea in the footsteps of Judah Halevi, or was it the other pursuing him? A dolphin of poetry leapt through the scorched stigmata of bruised air. When the great scholar of red sulphur did these things, the egg of Garcia Lorca leapt in the womb of the world 7 centuries later, and that whitened gully and drift of belched stone beckon us to vomit the exegesis of banned language, to vomit the stricken sky of disappeared workers, to vomit the language of diseased politics, to vomit the vomit we're forced to vomit. O green of my green, O dark magnolia of your belly, O Persian horses dancing in the air, O between gypsum and jasmine, O mouth of your death, Federico. Thank you very much.